small amounts of money into maybe millions tax-free, and many people can do this. The key is the IRA is not sacred. You don't just sit there and look at it. You use it, you leverage it, or you lose it. The second biggest benefit in the tax code, I mentioned it before briefly, the estate tax exemption. Currently, it's $2 million. That's $2 million tax-free for estate tax per person. So that means if you're a married couple, that's two people, that's $4 million of protection. Do most couples get $4 million of protection? Everybody knows the answer is no, even though it's a freebie in the tax code. Why? Because they leave everything to each other. That's what most spouses do. Even the few people that have wills, they have what I call love me wills. I leave it to you, you leave it to me, we both die, we leave it to the government. If they have anything, that's what they have. So how do you make sure you get to use your $2 million exemption? By leaving the property to someone other than the spouse. You know what the cash cost of blowing a $2 million exemption is? $900,000. That's the tax your family will pay voluntarily for no reason at all because they blew a $2 million exemption. Better option? Find $2 million or whatever you have. Remember, all of these numbers I'm talking about can be lower. I'm using $2 million because that's the exemption. So this works with $2 million or less, but you want to use that exemption for someone other than the spouse, which brings us to the third of the three biggest tax benefits in the tax code, something we call the stretch IRA. Now, I'm going to tell you what it is, because I found whenever I talk to clients about the stretch IRA and I didn't define it first, here's what happened. In 2 weeks, I get a call from the client. I'm at the bank. You said get a stretch IRA. They don't have them. I said, go to Bed Bath & Beyond. Have everything. The stretch IRA is the ability to parlay huge amounts of wealth using the tax code and using younger beneficiaries, your children and grandchildren. This actually came from the tax code and from the IRS, where you could take a certain amount, and as long as you name a living, breathing person on the IRA beneficiary form, remember earlier I said not in the will, on the IRA beneficiary form, if you name them as the beneficiary, after you die, your children or grandchildren can what we call stretch or extend distributions out over their lifetime. Look, the way to build wealth in this country, and there's no question about it, is to keep your money away from the government. But another way to get the government off your back is to make Uncle Sam wait so long for their money that they can never catch up. That's the beauty of this stretch IRA. That's why I call this the great parlay of wealth. I'm going to use another example now with a $2 million IRA. And again, I'm using $2 million, might sound like a big number, because that's the current estate exemption. But this works if you have $2,000 in an IRA, $20,000, $200,000, $1 million too, any number up to $2 million. But I'm using $2 million because that's the estate exemption. So let's say you have a $2 million IRA, and instead of leaving it to your spouse, you leave it to your 40-year-old daughter. You die. How much of that $2 million does she keep? Every cent! Because you passed it through the $2 million estate exemption, which would have been wasted if you left it to the spouse. She starts with 100 cents on the dollar, all $2 million, estate tax-free. And if this is a Roth IRA, we haven't talked about this before, but I'm a big fan of that because, again, it means paying tax now, but at the end of the game, it all comes out tax-free. If this is a Roth IRA, it's income tax-free as well, totally tax-free. So if you named your daughter as the beneficiary on this $2 million IRA, she starts with every cent, all $2 million. And she gets to stretch it out or extend distributions over her IRS life expectancy of 43.6 years. What would that come to? $15,871,000 tax-free. I saw someone writing down, that's a lot of money. It's the leverage. You don't have to start with a lot to end up with a lot. And guess what? Now that you know you've taken care of your family, more money for you now, more money you can spend in retirement because they're already taken care of. Tax-free. Let's get really extreme. Instead of a 40-year-old daughter, what if you left it instead to a 1-year-old grandchild? The life expectancy of a 1-year-old is 81.6 years. What would that come to? In our same example, $2 million, we already know it's estate tax-free, and if it's a Roth IRA, it's income tax-free. $2 million over 81.6 years, compounded at 8% like we did the last example, $163 million tax-free. The government can never catch up. This is what I'm talking about, using the 3 biggest benefits in the tax code, where most of you will lose 70% of everything you have. Using the 3 biggest benefits in the tax code, your family ends up with millions more than you ever had. All tax-free, which means you don't have to worry about taking care of them now because you have more money now for you to spend now and enjoy it. That's what it's about. You don't have to worry anymore. Anybody can do this. These are not secrets. I'm not telling any secrets. These things are in the tax code. Anybody can use them. Most people don't. But let's go back to the stretch IRA for a minute, because I kind of made it sound easier than it is. I said all you have to do is name a beneficiary, and your children will get to stretch it over their lifetimes. The IRS actually created rules where they thought they made it easy. They thought they created rules. They said, just name any human being with a life expectancy. What's a human being? Anybody with a pulse and a birthday counts. Can you fog a mirror? You count too. So they said, we are creating a system where all you have to do is name a beneficiary, and when you die, that beneficiary can stretch or extend distributions over their lifetime using that great parlay of wealth. So the IRS thought they created a system where everybody gets the stretch IRA. Here's the truth. Nobody gets it. Because people are sloppy. You have to have a beneficiary form. It's not in the will. It's the beneficiary form that will determine the ultimate amount of money this will grow to. Here's a story called Pension Pickle about a woman who worked for the New York City school system. How long do you think you have to work for the New York City school system to accumulate $1 million in your retirement account? Anyway, she died. What did her husband get? Did he lose 70, 80% like most people? No. He lost everything. Nothing. He got zero. He lost $1 million. He got zero. Why? 50 years ago, when she started at the school system, she was single. Who did she name as her beneficiary? Her mother, her uncle, and her sister. Well, her mother and her uncle have since died, but not her sister, who got every cent. It's called Pension Pickle. Broke widower loses $1 million to in-law. And he complains here, she won't give me a cent. Some people are laughing at that. Look at the caption under this picture of the couple dancing. Bruce Friedman wasn't wife Ann's beneficiary because she didn't update her files when they wed. 50 years ago? This is not the exception. This is the rule. This is what's happening. But it's not going to happen to you. You know why? Because you're going to follow my general rules of life. Sort of like you don't cook bacon while you're naked. It's that important. My general rules of life, get a copy of that beneficiary form and check it. Make sure you have primary beneficiaries, contingent beneficiaries. Work with your advisor to check this. This is the single most important document to you. This guarantees the stretch IRA, that parlay of wealth, and nobody in America can find it anywhere. It's the beneficiary form. But go one step further. It has to be updated as well. It has to be current. Even if you have it, make sure you have the right beneficiaries. Because things happen, what I call life events. You have a birth, a death, a marriage, a divorce, you had a new grandchild. These things have to be changed. You get one thing out of this program. Get this checked. This guarantees you that parlay of wealth. Well, I've given you the 3 biggest benefits in the tax code. Anybody can use it. Most people don't. But if you do, you'll have the plan. Remember, the only people who get the government plan are the people who don't plan. I've given you a plan which gives you more money for you to enjoy now, more money for retirement, and more money for your family, and so much of it tax-free.